We're not starting this that way. We will not do that. Tired of starting everything with hey guys. Okay, so we are knee deep into 2023, and I don't know if we're knee deep, but we're here. And I thought it would be good for me to provide you guys with my 2023 predictions in the podcast space. Now, it's going to be fun to see if at the end of 2023, if any of this is actually like truthful. So, bear with me. We might even do like a little quarterly check in to see if those things are still in alignment. Some of these I feel like you guys are probably going to already know, but first, got my little handy dandy notebook because, I want to make sure I tell y'all all the things. But no, first and foremost, I think at the end of 2022, YouTube kind of came out to say that they were putting in more focus on podcasting. If you go over to YouTube, you'll notice that there's now a section that really features and highlights podcasts. I think that a lot more apps and platforms in 2023 are going to go in that avenue. I don't know what the state of Twitter is right now, but Twitter even talked about jumping into that space. LinkedIn, a lot of different applications are trying to focus in on podcasting. Now, we all know that Facebook tried to do that, and as we know, it didn't go well. Like, they ended up shutting down that portion of it. I don't know a lot of people who were getting a lot of downloads or listeners from Facebook, but people found it to be advantageous. So a big prediction I see is YouTube really kind of upping up how podcasters are discovered, as well as how you get your content in front of your target audience. I really do believe that YouTube is kind of the next future wave. I feel like everybody's always like, but YouTube already had its moment. It's our time. I've always looked at YouTube as a companion tool. I ain't gonna lie to you though. I've tried to stay away from YouTube as much as possible just because it's felt like a lot of work. Because gone are the days where you could just record on your phone and that content was sufficient enough to get in front of your target audience. Nowadays, you gotta have a whole production. You have to have a plan, a strategy that's for YouTube that is separate from your actual podcast itself. So as much as this is a big prediction that I have for 2023, I also recognize that no, you cannot just do an audiogram and post it on YouTube and hope that people will go tune in that way. That is not sufficient. You do need to have a strategy. You need to have a quality camera. Like, I know you could do a lot of things on your iPhone, which, hey, if you can do that, go for it. But I would highly recommend that you invest in a good camera. And, we're podcasters, so some really great audio to be able to tap into the YouTube arena. I think I might put it in the show notes, the data around how many people are listening to podcasts from YouTube. And YouTube also put out a really comprehensive document that was about like 70 or 100 pages about how podcasters can really tap into the tool, tap into it as a platform. So I really see YouTube being the next wave to help people grow their audience and discoverability. Because as we know, discoverability is the biggest issue in this industry. Prediction number 2 is short form content. You'll notice that this podcast is probably no longer than 20 minutes at max. Sometimes you might get a good 30 minutes, but most times it's about 7 to 15 minutes. The reason for that is the rise of short form content. And I think we're only going to see that take off in 2023, especially with the rise of TikTok, Instagram Reels. People are losing their attention span at a very alarming rate, but we have to change with the times. Gone are the days where people were actively excited to listen to a 2-hour podcast episode. That's not reality anymore. Now people were seeing, I think the data in 2022 was showing that for a lot of my clients, at the 22-minute mark or 23 to 25-minute mark, oftentimes that's where listenership started to drop off. Because quite frankly, what can you not say in that time? Like, why did it take you so long? But that's just the truth of the matter of short form content continuing to be what grows. And so this is where TikTok comes into play, Reels, but also looking at the length of your podcast episode. Everybody always asks the question of how long does my podcast episode need to be? And I always say as long as it takes to get the message across. But there's a big but here. how much are you preparing your content so that this way you can get it across in a succinct manner? So, if you are properly preparing, if you are doing your research and getting ready for each episode, you should be able to kind of get that message across pretty quickly. In instances where you have a guest, it's to be expected it may take a little bit longer. But outside of that, you want to keep in mind that, especially as a solo podcaster, try to get the message out there as quickly as possible. Because short form content, I think, is going to be the next wave for us as an industry. If you're not doing a narrative based podcast and those type of things, expect to kind of go a little on the shorter side. Next up is collaboration. Discoverability for podcasters is always going to be a big thing. And I think in 2023, the best way to be found is going to be collaboration. What I mean by this is, gone are the days where you could just put an episode out there and hope that your target audience finds you and you post on social media and then that's it. I think collaboration, in the sense of, think about it. Instagram has put out a feature that allows you to collaborate with your post. Well, it's the same thing with podcasts. I think in order to be discovered, in order to grow your show, more collaboration is going to be the wave of the future. That looks like feed swaps, promo swaps, podcast tours, collaborating and doing joint IG lives and those type of things. I really feel like gone are the days where I've now said gone are the days twice, but you know what I mean. Those moments where it's like you can just instantly place an ad. We're even seeing where people are spending money on ad dollars and it's not really resonating with people. Like Facebook ads and everything else in between. Guess what? You place that ad, there's 50 other ads that people are seeing for the same kind of content. But if there's somebody I already tune into, somebody that I trust, that I already like their content, and you guys are collaborating together, I'm going to be more inclined to tune into your episode and tune into your content. So I really do see where there needs to be more focus on collaboration over ads, over just winging it, honestly, and not having a true marketing strategy. And then last but definitely not least, this thing of community. I feel like in the last 2 to 3 years, it's been very big on building a community around your podcast. And that's the strategy a lot of people have tried to utilize. I think as we go into 2023, there is really not a need for that if your podcast is not related to a topic that resonates with community. What I mean by this is every podcast does not need to have a community because, one, it's another level of work that you haven't thought about before. Two, it's not always necessary. So if you have a podcast that's about comic books or something like that, where it is advantageous to talk to others, kind of bring them in and get their feedback, then maybe putting together a community. But if it's something that's about your own individual experience, maybe not as much. I think we need to start looking at ways that work for us and our audience versus taking on what everybody else is doing. And I think the whole community around your podcast has been a thing that everybody's been doing for so long that we assume that it's definitely the route to success because it's working for them. So just keep this in mind. And those are really my 4 predictions for 2023. I think there's definitely a lot more out there, but those are the 4 that I feel like if we can focus in on more, it can make a difference in what we're doing and how we're getting our content out there. As you can see, I launched a YouTube, and quite frankly, it's a lot of work. I'm definitely going to have an episode that talks about how many people it takes to bring this one episode together. So just know that, yes, this is a prediction, but make sure you can do what you can to not be burned out, because that's the big thing in this industry. I think as creators, not just podcasters, we can get burnt out by trying to do all the things, and then we end up not doing anything at all because it feels like too much. So just keep this in mind, and I hope you found this information helpful. If you are looking for more support with your podcast, looking for resources and tools that are utilized throughout this episode, feel free to utilize the details below, as all of that is linked. So hope you found this information helpful, and I feel like I'm now just repeating myself, so I'll see you guys next week.